Hi, my name is Alan. I'm the Cub Master of Pack 50 in 2021. Today we're going to go over some of Pack 50's rules for Pinewood Derby. Now these are Pack 50's rules. Other organizations' rules might differ. Now you can find them online at our website or in the email that we send out before the race. There's 15 general rules for the race. I'm not going to go over all of those other than to point out that there is one really important rule that we had an issue with last year, which was if your car pops off the track and hits another car or doesn't hit a car and just falls off the track, you can be disqualified. Now last year we had an issue where a car kind of jumped off a few times and we kept trying to re-race it, but eventually it did. It was just disqualified because it couldn't finish the track. So of the first 15 rules, that's really the important one. There is some fit and finish that needs to be taken care of when you make a car. Make sure it kind of rolls straight when it goes down the track. So just to go over a couple things regarding our particular rules. Now, first rule is you have to use the components that come in your Pinewood Derby box. So this car is one I actually made last year. These are wheels that came in the box. These are nails that came in the box, and the wood obviously is from the box. So talking about the wheels. So some organizations will allow you to sand the wheels, and sanding the wheels allows them to roll smoother. These are just cheap plastic things, so they can have imperfections in them. However, our rules right now don't allow sanding of the wheels. They'll allow you to do minor sanding to take off burrs, which I don't recommend doing because then you could end up with a flat spot on your wheel and then you're really in trouble. So my suggestion is, first of all, you can't sand the wheels, and don't do it because you'll end up getting disqualified and then we'll have to redo your whole wheels, and it's a pain to do that. And you can't make the wheels lighter. You can't use custom wheels. They have to be the black wheels that came out of the box. Axles. The axles are just nails that come in the box. You can't use solid axles. You have to have, just use the nails that came out of the box. You can bend them if you want, and you can polish them if you want. But when I go to look at your car, I need to be able to see the axles underneath. So we need to make sure that it's not a solid axle. You can go online and find solid axles. Solid axles are not allowed. I have here, this is some automotive sandpaper. You can use different grits and a drill, and you can see instructions on that online on how to polish off the burrs that come on the nails, and that's totally allowed. Right, so I talked about wheels, axles, and then the other thing that's really important are the dimensions of the car. So when the car comes down the track, it's going to be sitting on a rail. The car needs to stay about this wide. So it sits on the rail when it comes down the track. If you make your car too narrow, it's not going to fit on the rail and it's not going to go down the track. You're going to get disqualified. It also can't be too wide because it can't run into the other cars. And also can't be too tall. So on our track we have an overhang that helps measure the speed of how the cars go, how fast the cars go down the track, excuse me. And if your car is too high and it's going to hit that sign, it's not going to be able to race. We had a few years ago, there was a scout who made a really cool car and had a bucket of popcorn on top of it, and it looked really neat. Unfortunately, it couldn't make it down the track, so that's something to keep in mind. Also, when you make your car, I'll talk about weight here in a second. So there are strict weight limits. It's 5 ounces, and to get to 5 ounces, you can do it. There's a couple ways you can do it. The car itself, the wood itself is not going to be enough once you design it. So what I suggest you do is you can drill holes in the bottom like I've done here. And so after you drill holes, and there's a couple ways, there's all kinds of different ways you can do this. These are tungsten weights that you get off of Amazon. And basically you drill the hole for the right size of the weight, and then you fill in the hole with the weight inside of it with hot glue. Now you're going to need to measure, because hot glue has weight and the weight has weight, so you need to measure how much hot glue you're going to use because you don't want to end up being over 5 ounces. So on this particular car, I had drilled a bunch of holes, and as you can see, I filled them in with hot glue, but then towards the end here, I couldn't add any more hot glue because the car weighed too much. So instead what I ended up doing is just covering over those holes with electrical tape so that I had a legal car. We don't want to have any open holes in the bottom of your car if possible. That's really easy to fix. Electrical tape doesn't weigh a lot. So if you're borderline and you need to cover up your holes and you can't fill them up with hot glue, that's fine. Obviously I recommend using hot glue because it actually adds weight back to the car, but obviously if you're too close to the weight you can't do that. So our actual dimensions here, I've got a nice little ruler. So your car can't exceed 7 inches. The block itself is only 7 inches. So as long as you're not adding on, you're fine. Again, I talked about 5 ounces. That'll be strictly enforced. If you come to check in with a car that weighs more than 5 ounces, I'm going to start drilling holes into it in order to get it to the right weight. The wood itself doesn't weigh a whole lot, so if you've added a bunch of design elements to it, like Legos or whatever it is you've added, I'm going to start having to chip off the Legos to make weight. So just keep that in mind before you turn it in. It's a really good idea to weigh it to make sure you're not over. So we talked about here, max height of the car is 5 inches. Now obviously that shouldn't be a problem, but yeah, so you've got a lot of room to work with. I wouldn't recommend making a 5-inch car. Obviously you're going to start running into aerodynamics issues, quite frankly, but keep in mind that the 5 inches is it can't be higher than the 5 inches, so it's going to hit the gate when it comes down the car. Again, clearance, so 3/8 of an inch on the bottom of the car. So again, we're talking about this, 3/8 of an inch is basically the depth of the wheels. So you can't, if you put weight on the bottom of your car, which is okay, you need to dig out the space in the wood for the weight to sit in it. Because if you just put a weight on the, so say this is a weight, you just sit the car on this, now the wheels can't touch the ground, it's not going to be able to go down the track. And then finally, words about lubricants. The only lubricant allowed is graphite, dry graphite lubricants. No liquid lubricants are allowed. I know there's all kinds of oils and whatnot that you can use. Not allowed. Only graphite's allowed. And then as far as getting the car to go straight, this is a tool that I have bought on Amazon for like $2. It sits in the groove on the car, and then you can push the nail in straight so that you don't have break your wood when you put it in. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and email us on our you can find our email address on our website. And thank you very much.